Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. The government raises the wage bill. Salaries and wages see an allocation increase for $21.4 million. The Jobless Assistance Program to end in September. And the contract signed for the Marco Alert System. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
It's a new day. Wake up. It's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up. It's a new day. Wake up. It's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Friday, May 28th, 2021. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Stephen Hanna will be joining us. Also this morning, we'll be talking with Org Bahamas and BTVI. They are teaming up for a survey on businesses in the country and their needs in terms of salaries and positions they're going to be offering over the next few years and in the aftermath of the pandemic. Plus, in Morning Blend Business, we are talking with Junkanoo Groups about the $2 million that's being allocated for Junkanoo headquarters. What they have to say about it, that's all coming up. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, the government has allocated $21.4 million more on wages and salaries in the 2021-2022 fiscal year than it did in 2020-2021. In total, the government has allocated an estimated $670.9 million on wages and salaries in cash, compared to $649.4 million in the previous fiscal year. Nearly every ministry and department saw an increase in salaries and wages. The Ministry of Public Works and National Insurance saw its budget for that line item increase from $23.03 million in 2020-2021 to $28.7 million in the upcoming fiscal year. In the ministry, salaries for permanent and pensionable employees went from $4.58 million to $4.68 million, and salaries for contract workers remains the same at $3.4 million. New appointments of monthly employees went from $3.1 million in 2020-2021 to $5.1 million. There's a new $2 million line item for salary adjustments. There's also a new $1.5 million line item for new appointments and college recruits. During his budget presentation on Wednesday, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, who's also the Minister of Finance, said the government is moving to digitize more of its agencies and will need more young talent who are tech savvy. Salaries and wages in the Registrar General's Department increased from $1.8 million to $2.2 million. Department of Correctional Services had a budget for wages and salaries of $22.1 million for this current fiscal year. For the next one coming up, it will be $24.9 million. A new $1.02 million line item for new appointments and monthly appointments was added. Salaries for permanent and pensionable employees rose from $21.9 million to $23.7 million. And the Ministry of Finance saw its budget for wages and salaries increase from $10.4 million to $12.3 million. Salaries for permanent and pensionable employees rose from $4.8 million to $5 million. There's a lot more of this, a lot more, in today's Nassau Guardian. Pick up a copy and read more on that. Meanwhile, the government's unemployment assistance program will come to an end in September. That's according to Minister of State for Finance Kwesi Thompson. He said yesterday that the focus will shift to encouraging private sector employment in the upcoming budget year. He says that this initially was intended to be a 3 or 4 month measure. But he says, quote, unfortunately, the pandemic kept going and it is still continuing. We had to extend it well over 12 months. Again, the focus will be on the private sector hiring workers. And the government signing a $1.9 million contract with Multimedia Technologies for the implementation of the Marco Alert System. Minister of National Security Marvin Dames describing the signing as a very, very important day. He says that the system is timely, especially approaching the hurricane season. You can read more about it again in today's Nassau Guardian. Overseas, Japan extending a coronavirus state of emergency in Tokyo and other areas for 20 more days beginning today, with infections still not slowing as it prepares to host the Olympics in just over 50 days. Cases remain high in medical systems in Osaka, the hardest hit area in western Japan, still overburdened, according to Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga. The current state of emergency in the capital and 8 other metropolitan areas was to extend next Monday, but hospitals in some areas are still overflowing. Was to end Monday, rather, but hospitals in the area are still overflowing with COVID-19 patients, and serious cases have recently hit new highs. The 20-day extension covers 9 areas, ranging from Hokkaido in the north to Fukuoka in the south. The 10th area, the southern island prefecture of Okinawa, is already under emergency status through June 20th. Olympic organizers must decide at about that time whether to allow any fans at all after overseas spectators were banned months ago. A plan to prioritize vaccinations for Japanese athletes is expected to begin around then, according to media reports. In sports, 5 student athletes, 4 from C.I. Gibson Senior High, are receiving an opportunity to continue their education and basketball careers after they signed to play for Northeast Community College in Norfolk, Nebraska this fall. 4 from C.I. Gibson Rattlers, Charles Joseph, Sahid Sanusi, Emmanuel Alexandre, and Jaden Strawn. The 5th player is Colin Stewart, who plays with the quartet on the Amateur Athletic Union circuit. Head coach of the Rattlers, Kevin K. Johnson, says the players were seen by a coach and while they were playing in the U.S. and they impressed him. You can read more about it in today's Guardian Sports section. Overseas from the NBA, the Lakers celebrating their playoff homecoming with a 109-95 win over the Suns. They now have a 2-1 lead in that series. The Bucks putting the Heat on the brink. They have taken a 3-0 lead in their series, 113-84 last night. Just one more win to win it for the Bucks. And Denver beating Portland 120-115. They go up 2-1 in their playoff series. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your weather for today, we've got a ridge of high pressure that continues to maintain pleasant conditions over the islands. For all areas today, we are looking at partly sunny and hot conditions with a chance of a few light passing showers, becoming fair and warm tonight with a chance of showers. Winds east to southeast at 10 knots or less in the northwest Bahamas, easterly at 10 to 15 knots in the central and southeastern islands. Seas 3 feet or less in the northwest Bahamas, but 2 to 4 feet in the central and southeastern islands. Temperature-wise, right now in Nassau, it's about 76 degrees, partly cloudy skies, 73 up in Freeport. We're looking at highs today getting up to around 86 Fahrenheit, 30 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 70 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
It's time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
The end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Preparing for a hurricane can make all the difference in safeguarding the lives of family, friends, and neighbors. By knowing what action you should take, you can reduce the effects of a hurricane disaster. Get all the facts of the potential of having insurance, impact-resistant windows, home emergency power, essential supplies, and a lot more before the storm. After the storm, where to purchase building or cleaning supplies, waste disposal, medical care, and more. The Nassau Guardian's Hurricane Guide will help you make sure everyone knows what to do in the event a hurricane approaches. Take advantage of this double insertion opportunity, plus 15 commercials on Star 106 hits. Contact us today at 302-2300. That's 302-2300, or your account executive. Will you be prepared?
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, we have Stephen Hanna. Good morning, Stephen Hanna.
Hey, man, what's up?
All is well. Hope you're doing well as well.
Yeah, holding on.
Okay. All right. That's wonderful stuff. Well, we have a lot to talk about this morning. And folks who can join the conversation as well, we want you to tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook us. Facebook.com/morningblend969. You can email us, morningblend@nasguard.com, or you can text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. We'll give you the numbers to call in just a bit as well. Coming up this morning, more weather and traffic and business. In just a few minutes, we're going to be talking with Org Bahamas, Organization for Responsible Governance, and BTVI. They are teaming up for a survey on the work skills needs of the business community post-COVID. So it's going to be good to hear. We've talked about this often, that we don't necessarily hear from the business community about what they are really looking for, what they see as future trends, and people are pursuing careers that aren't really going to be serving much purpose here. But they, always finding work permits for people who have these skills that nobody knew anybody needed. So we're hoping this will be helping us to improve the communication between the future workers and the employers as to what we're looking at for the future and what's going to be needed. So that's coming up this morning. Then later in Morning Blend Business, we'll be talking with some leaders in Junkanoo about what they think of the government's $2 million allocation for Junkanoo headquarters. What will that mean? Will this change? What will this change? We're going to find out from them this morning. So a lot to get to, but let's begin with what else is in the news. And in the news, the Ministry of Finance holding a press conference yesterday to explain the budget presentation, answer questions from the media, answer some of the fears that people have. We're going to get to what they had to say coming up in just a bit. But the other big story, the contract signed for the Marco alert system. How long have we been talking about this? Finally, we're getting a step closer to this becoming a reality as the government signed a $1.9 million contract with Multimedia Technologies for the implementation of the system. For more on this and what happened yesterday, take a listen to this report from our Jared Higgs.
He actually would have been 21.
Tancia Humes admits that today's signing brings back difficult memories.
This right now just put you right back to that place.
It's been almost a decade since the disappearance and murder of her brother, 11-year-old Marco Archer, shocked the nation. Today, officials signed a contract bearing his name, the Marco Alert, a system of broadcasting emergency messages countrywide.
It completes our Marco's Alert promises to the people of this nation.
Government signed a $1.9 million contract with Multimedia Technologies Limited for the system, which will allow the company to send messages to mobile users on BTC and Alive cellular networks. The messages won't be limited to child abductions and will include weather and other police alerts. 2 years ago, government signed another contract with the same company for $2.7 million for 4 billboards that broadcast messages in high-visibility areas. The company's CEO, Ralph Walker, defended the system from criticism that it is no different than NEMA sending out message alerts like it did last week.
The minister wanted to send an alert in this immediate area. If I was connected to the platform, I would draw what it is a geofence, right? So I'll draw a circle just around this area on something similar to Google Maps. And I'd say, look, send the alerts in this area.
Back in 2011, when Archer disappeared, his family complained that police didn't move fast enough when trying to find him. While in opposition, Dr. Bernard Nottage promised an alert system in Archer's name. Dame said the media played a big part in keeping government accountable to the promise. Archer's family expressed gratitude.
Again, I could smile and we can be grateful, to see that something good came out of it.
Reporting for the Guardian News Network, I'm Jared Higgs.
And as you heard, the sister saying yesterday, that was it. Yesterday would have been his 21st birthday. Just, wow. All right, so yeah, that's good that is finally coming into fruition, and we hope that will go a long way in saving some lives. Yeah. Okay, so
I wish that. I mean, I'm glad that it finally happened, but it's like 10 years is a long time.
It is.
10 years, like, 'cause I remember Dr. Bernard Nottage. Well, yeah, Dr. Bernard Nottage. The clip of him in the House of Assembly when they were still. That was like 2011 or something. When they were like, "This is what's going to happen," you know, and it's like, okay.
What about a little later? But yeah,
it's literally 2021, and it's like every government, because it's like it's changed twice since then. It's like has been like when soon it coming soon. And it's just like I'm glad it's here, but I wish that we could move with more expediency. Is that the word?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But with these things that we all agree are important, and not just use them like as political points or footballs or whatever. Just like if we could just get the things that are important for the progress and the preservation of the country forward. So, yeah.
Yeah. We've got a call. Let's take this call. Good morning, call. You're on the air.
Morning, Dwight, Stephen, and the Bahamas. How you guys doing?
Doing well. Good morning.
Morning.
I'm calling not in regards to the Marco alert, even though I do agree with Stephen's sentiment. It's necessary. It's long overdue, but thank God it's now here. I wanted to touch on the Junkanoo allocation.
I don't know if you can wait for that, JT.
I
when we
wouldn't
get
be
to
able
that.
to call back later, no, unfortunately.
Well,
yeah, my
okay.
apologies for that.
You got to make it really snappy because.
I'll try my best.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm one of those Bahamians who, for a long time, have been calling for the government to identify and allocate Crown land on this island for Junkanoo headquarters, for each Junkanoo group actually to have their own headquarters or shack or whatever have you. So at face value, I'm happy that has now arrived for the Junkanoo community. The thing that bothers me about it, though, when the country was soaked, quote unquote, in money during 2018 when we had such a robust economy, why could not this administration have provided those funds then for the Junkanoo community? Why is it that they're always waiting until election time? And yes, I know the answer to the question, so it's only rhetorical. But I should say, I'm sick and tired of government waiting until election time to do the things for the Bahamian people on the ground that they could have done and should have done at the beginning of their terms, man. This keeps making me feel sick, as if we Bahamians are only being used as tools and toys and being taken for granted, as if our votes are only good for election time and not during the full course of these election terms of these governing administrations, man. The Junkanoo community deserved what they're getting. They needed it years ago. So the fact that it's here, better late than never. But my God, man, when governments are going to stop slapping the Bahamian people in the faces by treating us like this, man? Thank you, buddy.
Okay. All right. We're going to discuss that a lot more coming up in Morning Blend Business. All right. Let's move on to what the Ministry of Finance is saying. They had a press conference yesterday explaining some of the numbers and what's going on and whether people should be as worried as they are, which many of them are saying. Take a listen to the report, and we're going to get to what's in the newspaper today about the wages that are going up in almost every single ministry or department, it seems. And as JT says, what's happening at this time when we're really having some cash issues, but a few years back it was we got to cut spending, cut. Why now? We'll get to that in a bit, but take a listen to this report from our Jasmine Brown.
The economy is expected to grow by 4.2% over the next fiscal year, but the fiscal deficit is projected to come in at around $1 billion, as revenue intake is expected to remain sluggish and expenditure is being ramped up. When it comes to the deficit, Acting Financial Secretary Marlon Johnson said this.
Yes, it is reason for caution and concern, but it isn't reason for alarm. it would be reason for alarm if these were structural and long-term. So going into the next year and the year after that, the deficits will come down.
The Prime Minister tabled a resolution in the House of Assembly on Wednesday revealing his administration's plan to borrow $871.6 million in the 2021-2022 fiscal year. In all, the government projects to take in $1.8 billion in proceeds from borrowing in the coming fiscal year. The minister's administration has repeatedly cited its response to Hurricane Dorian and the COVID-19 pandemic as catalysts for the climbing debt. But Johnson says the Ministry of Finance is confident in its plan to get the country back on good financial footing.
Because you have an extraordinary crisis, it has required our government and other governments to have to run up a significant deficit in order to be able to meet the social services requirements and keep the economy going through a severe crisis. Yes, it has meant that for the this current fiscal year, which ends July, and the current one, there is a substantial ramp up in the deficits. The way that is sustained, though, is through a plan. So what the government would have done is in its fiscal responsibility strategy, which again was published in December last year, it laid out that this upcoming fiscal year, we would anticipate a deficit of $954 million. It came in at $951 million. And so what local commentators with the international agencies have seen is a plan.
State Minister for Finance Kwesi Thompson explained that the plan consists of many factors, including a successful vaccination program. However, when our news team pointed out the fact that there is still vaccine hesitancy and the Bahamas still does not have enough doses to vaccinate enough residents to establish herd immunity, Thompson admitted there are challenges.
But that's not the only track that we are taking when it comes to the economy. We also are looking at how we use those targeted tax breaks to accelerate our local businesses, to accelerate the local economy, to accelerate those different industries. And then one thing we want to point out as well is we're still focusing from the Small Business Development Center on assisting those non-tourism, but those other industries like fishes, like farming, like technology.
Reporting for Guardian News Network, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, more on this. The Jobless Assistance Program to end in September. As we mentioned earlier, this is to pivot towards private sector employment. The focus being that instead. The State Minister for Finance explains. Take a listen to this report from our Taylor Ferguson.
Government's unemployment assistance program will end in September, according to Minister of State for Finance Kwesi Thompson. He said the focus will shift to encouraging private sector employment in the upcoming budget year.
It really was designed to be maybe a 3 or 4 month measure, but unfortunately, as a result, the pandemic kept going. It is still continuing, and we've had to extend it well over 12 months. We've had to extend it. We anticipate that up until September, that we will continue those existing unemployment benefits.
After the Bahamas recorded its first case of COVID-19 in March 2020, a state of emergency was declared, various emergency orders issued, forcing the closure of certain businesses. There were also several lockdowns and other restrictions. The Unemployment Assistance Program provides additional support for individuals who've already received the legal limit of 13 weeks of the unemployment benefit from the National Insurance Board. Acting Financial Secretary Marlon Johnson says the intention is for workers still unemployed by September to receive assistance from the Department of Social Services.
So the social services have seen a bump up in their budget because as persons, come September, those persons still are still unemployed. The plan is to transition them off to a social services program. And so the social services would have got a bump up of around $20 million specifically, so that will allow persons who leave that unemployment program after September the social services who will still require some support to enter into that program.
Our Taylor Ferguson with that report there. All right. So that might explain some of it. Some of it with what we're seeing with the wage bills, the wage increases for various departments and ministries. Some of it. And there's a whole lot of it, and you can read it in today's Nassau Guardian. It is, again, every ministry is outlined, and you're seeing significant increases for all of them. wages going up, including the police force, which will see an increase from $94.6 million to $96.1 million, and the defense force moving from $46.8 million to $49.7 million. Works as well, $5.7 million to $6.1 million. Again, it's a lot more, and it'll take forever to read it, but you've got to get today's National Guardian to see that. But let's talk about it. You heard what they are saying and the rationale for certain things. What do you make of it all? 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
How are you doing, sir?
Doing well. Good morning.
You and your guest. Mr. Crown, let me ask you a question. The follow-up one on this too. Who is the real finance minister? Kwesi Thompson, Marlon Johnson, Hubert Minnis, Nathaniel Benby, or Wendy Craig? Hello?
The official Minister of Finance is the Prime Minister, Minister Minnis. Prime Minister Minnis, and Kwesi Thompson is the State Minister. Marlon Johnson is the Financial Secretary. What's your point? What is he? What's the point?
There's no point.
Okay. Be thankful that you named all those people. That's a lot of people. It's not one person making the decisions, all right? So thank God Almighty. Anyway, okay.
I mean, I understand that there is space and room for criticism, but it's like sometimes you just feel like when you're swinging at the fences and hoping something stick. Because it's just like, okay, yeah, there's a Minister of Finance and then a Minister of State for Finance. That's happened forever. That's been going on.
It's happened a few times, yeah.
Pardon?
It's happened a few times, yes.
That's what I'm saying. This happening now is not the first time I've experienced it in my lifetime.
You're falling apart him? That's not. We don't have to go there.
No, but I just feel like here's the thing, right?
That was a non-point.
I know that you and I may listen to what he says and says, "Oh, he's just playing politics. He's just doing whatever." But there are persons out there. If it goes unaddressed, it's just a question.
What is going unaddressed though?
The fact that this is not unusual to have both, like a prime minister who is the Minister of Finance, and then have a Minister of State for Finance, and then have advisors for finance. That's how it usually works.
Not usually, but it happens. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm just right.
Yes.
I'm just saying. I feel like that should be said, just so that there's no confusion and persons don't feel as though. Because there are legitimate things to complain about.
Yeah, I don't think many people were complaining about it. Now,
I'm just saying, for the persons who may not call in, for the persons who may not have been paying attention to politics because they were busy doing other things in their life, like actually living.
All right. The issue might be the fact that the two individuals don't necessarily have a financial background. All right, so that is probably, and this might be the first time that any one of the two doesn't have a financial background. Past, it's been like that because one of them was not in the state minister who was the expert might not have been in the House, and so but that person was an economist, an accountant, something, but it's not the case here. Got a doctor and a lawyer, but oh well. Stephen, you're doing some construction work today. What's happening in the back there? No?
Well, it's just stuff on the table.
Oh, dear. Okay. Let's get another call in. Good morning, caller. Hopefully this will be what we're talking about today. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, Dwight, stop playing games. You're cutting me off, okay?
Yeah, because you're going down a stupid road. Why? What is the point of that dumb question? What is the point? Huh? Oh, he did a trick again? He put in a different person? You know, Dave, really, we let you back in, and now we got to stop you again. Because seriously, you're playing around. What is your problem? What is your problem? What are you asking that for? Text in the question, whatever that is, and you know the answer. What do you want to say? You have no confidence in them. Yeah, we get it. You hate them. You despise the current administration. Everybody knows nothing they can do is right. We get it. We get it. If you have something to add that we've never heard before, that is not a slanderous accusation, please. But otherwise, right? Oh, my. So he's childish games. Okay. 323-62. Should we? Maybe we should disable the phone line. 323-6232.
For two people?
I wish it were only two. 325-4316. 325-4259. You know, the texters always say, oh, why do you always let these people on the air so that they're preventing new people from calling in? Okay, well, here's a chance. Go right ahead, folks. Anyway, let's get back to the text line. I can get through these. Okay, one has to applaud the Marco Alert contract. However, the question comes, was this done with an open, transparent, competitive bidding process? I believe it was. I remember seeing that alert, but do people pay attention to those? But that's your problem if you don't, I guess. Another one here. The Marco Alert system was necessary for quite some time. I lost a cousin in Grand Bahama, so it's bittersweet, but nonetheless, I'm happy that it's here. It took 2 administrations to get it done. It's obvious that one party is good at starting stuff while the other party can finish. We demand better. This one says, I see what the government is trying to do. It may be ambitious, but they have to do something to stimulate the economy. It would have been seen cold if they had continued their austerity policies in the midst of twin disasters. I commend them. I truly do. Would it have seemed cold? That's interesting. Okay. All right. But, yeah. All right. Another one. There's a difference even in the first time that the Minister of Finance has been appointed to such a critical role and the individual has zero expertise in finance. Why were they appointed to say yes to everything the man behind the curtain says? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That is the one reason.
Okay.
But as Dave
I stand corrected then.
As Dave pointed out, he named a lot of other names who do have a wealth of financial experience. So
that's like, because when he said Marlon Johnson and the other persons, I was like, I don't, like, it just seemed like you're just listing off everybody who works at the ministry.
Yeah. The issue, folks, again, is your system, right? Where these ministers, for the most part, except for three instances in the Senate, need to come from who you voted in. And when you vote in people based on the party they're with and not their qualifications or skills, this is what you end up with.
And
right?
they in this case, they've used one of those for the AG, right? One of the Senate positions.
Yes, and the other for the Minister of Labor, who is also the Minister of Local Government now, and,
so
and Transport. So
you only have one more.
So this is your system. You like it like this. You don't want to talk about. You don't even want to talk about changing it because it's perfect. And so this is what happens. The pool is shallow, very shallow. And so you want to continue to run your mouth about, but who are they going to put there? Yeah. Okay. Dwight, it's high time to stop playing with the puppy. I agree. It's too long now that Marlon Johnson is still the acting financial secretary. What's up with that? Well, every morning I listen to you, you make a lot of sense. You explain it better for us, the people with the budget. It sounds good. A salary increase for all ministries. This sounds good. Are we talking about Marlon or who? Okay. Me? Oh. What's going on with you? Why did you let Dave upset you and raise your voice? Yeah, I wonder. You are my boy, Dwight, but that's good for you with Dave. I'm not sorry for you at all. I keep telling you to block him for life. Okay. Oh, my goodness gracious. I'm sick and tired of Dave. Everything's about Dave. I'm sick and tired of Dave calling your show. He is very immature, and his actions toward the government are... and his actions toward the government. I'm not an F-ing him, but it is what it is. Yes. Okay, let's move on. Enhancing small business is the key to winning the next election. Hope it's not just talk, Menace. Well, that'll do a lot, but people need to have money to spend too, and not feel like they are spending their life savings when they're doing things. And the cost of living is still extremely high. Costs keep going up. It's amazing. You go to the store 1 month, go back in a couple of months, and the prices have creeped up a few cents. And if you look at something you bought a year ago compared to now, it's a totally different price, much higher. Of course, that is happening globally. We know that the pandemic put a lot of strain on the supplies and systems, but that seems to happen all the time here, pandemic or not. And so it's very concerning. This text here, we continue to allow this government to run the country like a tuck shop, I think they're trying to say. Please explain how it is that the business of this country is saying to our government, give everybody else a raise. What now? What? I don't think you...
You're the one reading it, Dwight.
Well, I don't understand it. I think you got us a little mixed up the way. Let me read the rest of it. This is why I would encourage every union that the government owes money to strike. Raise for every employee, but nothing new to bring in new revenue. You have to be sick.
Kind of understand that.
You have to be sick, and please don't say this is the way it is. Don't be okay. Anyway, all right. You want the unions to strike, but everybody's getting... it's unclear if it's wages or if it's part of the employment program, right, to get the...
Well, no, I think this person is talking about in the larger scheme of things, where's this money coming from? Because it felt like, okay, this is what the government intends to spend money on. Like that tend to be the focus, which of course it is. That's how government budgets work or whatever.
We went through all this yesterday, though.
But at the same time, they're like, okay, so if we're spending this money, if we're raising this, we're saying we're going to pay more people, and we're going to pay more people, we're going to give more money to more ministries. Where is this revenue coming in to the country, to the citizens, to give to the government through taxes to facilitate these new jobs, this new money that's going to be spent?
Okay.
I think that might be, at least, that's what I took away from it.
Yeah, we discussed this yesterday, though. Borrowing. They're borrowing a whole lot of money. So they're borrowing to give people who aren't working jobs in ministries and in other sectors, private sectors as well.
Your money, though.
Oh, right. Exactly. And they're doing all of that. And so, yep, some of this will be people going in. I don't know how many people will be getting raises. But that's something. But they're taking on people, and
I mean, honestly, I wish I could. This is one of those times where it's like you wish that it's just the short-sightedness of one government or something, but it's like if tourism ain't popping, this is pretty much the position of all the governments that I've experienced in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole idea is, if we once the tourists are here, then we could do anything, and we'll borrow some of this money until tourism pops off again. And it's like there needs to be something. It just needs we just need a plan B, something to tide us over. You know, let's pretend tourism is perfect. We just need something to tide us over until the ship come back in.
Well, as I keep saying, don't wait on them to do it. Don't wait on them.
Yeah, I hear you say that. And by all means, you probably shouldn't. But it's still a part of their job to be like, we're going to create policies to facilitate in this direction. And yeah, they do like to copy once they see other people doing stuff, but then they also, the policies that they ignore till the very last minute often hinder persons from moving further in any particular direction. Right. So it's like they still have a responsibility to play, and persons complaining about it is perhaps the most legitimate way to get them to say, okay, maybe we should look harder in this direction. Because that's the reason why all of them saying orange economy now is because finally, after tons and tons of people kept complaining about it, saying orange economy, after the IMDb printed a whole book about it, like, what was that, 6 years ago? 7 years ago?
It's been a while.
They're finally like, okay, yeah, let's look at this orange economy. They're doing it, but mostly in light of how does it affect tourism. And they're not looking at it as its own economy. But baby steps.
All right, some more messages here. Don't get me started on the 30 million digitization. Someone is plundering this country with IT cables. Well. Wow, okay. And again, you've got to get today's Guardian. You'll see about where there are wage increases and what these numbers are all about. And more on the government's rationale for what they are doing. You can continue to text us 422-4796 and tweet us, Facebook us, and call us 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. All right. Now, this is interesting. The Minister of State for Finance, Kwesi Thompson, also saying yesterday that the country's economic recovery is dependent on the willingness of Bahamians to get the COVID-19 vaccine. So far, the government has only secured enough vaccines to vaccinate 60,000 people, though. But while he expressed optimism that the country can see a rebound with the help of the government's plans to encourage economic activity, Thompson said that ultimately it's up to the public to do its part. He said, quote, "One point we want to stress, a lot of it depends on us, and it depends upon how we get vaccinated. The quicker we're able to vaccinate our population, the quicker we're able to accelerate our tourism product. And so we want people to not look at this in a vacuum. We want you to look at it holistically. The reality is that we as a nation are able to reach our target quickly when it comes to vaccination. Then that makes us a far more attractive country when it comes to tourism. It then helps us to reduce the level that we are on the U.S. list of countries when it comes to dealing with COVID. And all of the economic activity that we're going to have with respect to entertainment, with respect to fully opening up the economy as well. So we have to stress that. That's also part of the economic plan and strategy to encourage our local Bahamians to ensure that they get vaccinated. It is really a part of the economic development for us in the coming year. Now, if this happens, this is where Acting Financial Secretary Marlon Johnson says that the deficit will begin to decrease relatively quickly. He says, quote, "This is the important point. It's that these issues are temporary and transitory. These are not structural. Where countries run into trouble is when they have structural deficits, meaning that the economy is at full tilt and you're still running big deficits. Yes, it is reason for caution and concern, but it isn't reason for alarm. It would be reason for alarm if these were structural and long-term. So going into the next year and the year after that, the deficits will come down." Well, it's a lot of ifs, ands, and ifs again, but it's up to us. They tell us it's up to us. All right.
What is up to us? I don't understand.
Get vaccinated, then everything will improve. That's interesting there.
So anyway, if everybody got, it's like you know what's gonna happen? A bunch of people are gonna get vaccinated, and then they're gonna leave.
Who, the people here?
Yeah,
leave.
It's
like permanently.
Yeah, they're just gonna be like, you know what? I'm vaccinated. That means I can travel. Let me try my hand elsewhere. Because there has to be you know what I wish? I want governments, all of them, past, present, future, to take your advice. And that advice is stop waiting for people to go give you money or to provide a way for you. Because at the end of the day, it's like our country moves forward if the American.
Hello, are you there? Did we lose him? Oh, did the power go off again? I remember that happened last week. All right, let's read some text messages. Okay, you all like to text the hosts about other shows. I wish you wouldn't do that. If you have something to say about the people who come on throughout the day, text them. I'm not going to read your text about other people unless you just want me to read it to myself. But yeah, and I hear you doing that. I hear you all text about me to the other shows. It's hilarious. But yeah, text me. Text me. Tell me. What are you telling them for? What can they do? What's the point? Okay. This one says, we continue to allow this government to run this country. I read that already. Yep. Okay. And this one here, $1.9 million to send a text. I am in IT, and there is no way in heck it costs $1.9 million, no matter what kind of bells they put on. Are we talking about the Marco? But remember, did you hear the report? It's all kinds of stuff. It can track the area. I guess it can zone in on where, I can't tell you. But no, it sounds more complicated than that, right? More complex. I'm sure it is. I'm sure. Okay. Steven, are you back? I hear all kinds of stuff. I hear all kinds of stuff there. Okay. All right. What's happening? Is he okay? Stephen Hanna.
Yeah.
Are you being abducted? What's going on? Should we call somebody?
No, that's the internet.
Oh.
It's like this is the society we live in. This is the society we live in.
It's not the power today, though.
Nope. But don't worry, there are enough corporations that are failing us to go around. It's like one day it's the power, the next day it's the internet.
You know, it's never a dull moment. That's one thing we can say about the Bahamas. It's very exciting.
You know what? I love dull moments. I want to live I need to live the most boring life. This whole idea of living an exciting, action-filled, everything always exploding and falling down around you life, it's very overrated. What you want is a boring life where you could go home, sit down with a book in your study and read and go to sleep with a cat on your lap. That sounds like a great life. Don't you wish you had a study, Bahamians? Don't you wish you had so much space inside your house that you could go and dedicate a room just to books?
Okay. Hey, sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, I'm not going to say what I want to say. But let's take a break. When we come back, folks, just what will the work skills be in the future, especially post-pandemic? Are you prepared? Do you know what's going to be required most in this country? We're going to talk about that with Org Bahamas and BTVI. They're conducting a survey. We'll get the details. After the break, this is Morning Blend on a Friday morning here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Would you be my little quarantine, or is this the way it ends? 'Cause I told you my level of concern, but you walk by like you never heard. When you could bring down my level of concern, just need you to tell me we're
Time for your Morning Blend Traffic Alert brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. And in your real-time traffic this morning, we've got heavy traffic at Samara Butler Highway from Fire Trail all the way up to Tawny Williams Darling Highway. That's the northbound lanes as usual at this hour. And that's heavy today from even south of Fire Trail and back to Belong Fire Trail as well, eastbound towards the roundabout there. And Gladstone Road also looking busy in the northbound lane, heading towards John F. Kennedy Drive this morning. Elsewhere, we've got Blue Hill Road, as usual, just north of Soldier Road, the heavy traffic, especially as you get over that hill, heading towards Independence Drive. And Carmichael to Blue Hill, the traffic is building as you head out into that area, eastbound there. Elsewhere, we are seeing some building traffic at major intersections, like Prince Charles Drive and at Robinson Road, and East Street South as well, just south of the East-West Highway roundabout. You're going to see the traffic building there, the northbound lanes mainly, heading towards that roundabout with Independence Drive and East-West Highway. That's what we're looking at so far. We'll have another real-time report for you after the 8 o'clock news. That's your Morning Blend Traffic Alert brought to you by RBC Royal Bank, Banking Reimagined. And we've got another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Rev Cable Bahamas. Here's what's happening. We've got a ridge of high pressure that continues to maintain pleasant conditions over the islands. For all areas today, look for partly sunny and hot conditions with a chance of a few light passing showers, becoming fair and warm at night with the chance of showers. 78 degrees right now in Nassau. Look for highs getting to around 86 Fahrenheit, 30 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 70 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius. In your extended outlook, high pressure expected to maintain and to remain across the area through the weekend with mostly pleasant and hot conditions continuing. So for tomorrow, Saturday, mostly sunny and hot with a chance of isolated showers or thunderstorms. Fair and warm at night with a chance of isolated showers. Sunday, mostly sunny and hot with isolated showers or thunderstorms, mainly in the southeast Bahamas. Fair and warm at night with the chance of isolated showers. That's your morning blend weather check brought to you by Rev Cable Bahamas. Basketball fans, you got to sign up or upgrade to Rev Trio to get NBA League Pass absolutely free. Playoffs are hot right now. You can call 601-8992 or email trio@cablebahamas.com to sign up. Rev, you and us together.
Stay a step ahead of technology with certainty and support from Custom Computers. Our know-how team is here to help you zero in on your next big tech purchase, finding solutions that take your productivity to the next level using only the best and most reliable brands. With 4 stores all across Nassau on East Bay, West Bay, Old Fort Bay, and Palmdale, there's no stopping you from stepping up your tech. Reach out to us at 396-1100. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
BTC is elevating the Bahamas with our super-fast fiber internet experience. More people in more places can enjoy the best home connection starting with 100 megabit speeds. With over $6.5 million invested, our network grows stronger each day, delivering the best home internet for all your needs. Call us at 242-225-5282. Visit btcbahamas.com or any retail store to upgrade to the super-fast fiber internet experience on the Bahamas' best fiber network.
Digital banking, online, RBC. RBC banking, online, pay your bills anytime.
RBC Digital Banking is so easy. Granny and Granddad can do it. Sign up for online banking or download the RBC Caribbean app.
With RBC, it's safe and easy. Send your money hassle-free. RBC.
Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/bank at home. RBC Royal Bank. Banking reimagined.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Stephen Hanna. We are changing gears a bit right now. We're going to talk about something that we talk about often on the show, the work skills needs in the country. And Org Bahamas and BTVI are teaming up for a survey on the work skills needs of businesses in the country, especially post-COVID, the pandemic. And joining us this morning, very pleased to welcome from BTVI President Dr. Robert Robertson and from Org Bahamas Executive Director Matt Aubrey. Welcome back, gentlemen. Great to have you with us again.
Thanks so much for having us.
All right. So this is very exciting. Tell us how this came about, how this partnership came about. And we talk about it again all the time, but for people, help them to understand, help us all to understand why this is important, that we need to do something like this.
Well, I think it's crucial. I mean, as you would know, the Organization for Responsible Governance has focused not only just accountable governance, but also, most importantly, education and economic development, because those are so clearly linked to solving some of our long-term problems. We look and focus on the importance of the private sector. We saw it in the budget this week about how much you need to invest in the private sector, and meaning that they have the resources to be successful. But the most critical ingredient within that is your staff, your employees, and your workforce. About 2 years ago, there was a National Skills Development Committee that was formed, working in collaboration with the Ministry of Labor, but represented most importantly by private sector, civil society, and the academic institutions, with a goal to understand if we've identified that there are needs, how do we then ensure that the education institutions are providing the kinds of skills and certifications needed for the private sector to be successful, and then how does we help support the government support that in terms of identifying it and making sure that there's resources for it. So as an outspring of that, there was a symposium where we brought together the sector, and it was really powerful, and we got all the sectors together, but we also clearly realized there were some significant challenges. And everyone could verbalize it, but there wasn't necessarily the data around it. So Dr. Robertson had kind of referenced some of the work that had been done by the IDB and other institutional partners and said maybe it's an opportunity for us to do something locally. And I think, Dr. Robertson, that was in 2019, if I'm correct.
Right. All right, so what were the challenges? What do we see? And give us an idea of what we're talking about there.
Well, clearly there's lots of challenges, as Matt just said, and the context is that the skills gap is not just a Bahamian issue. It's a big issue in any part of the world. And just as an example, the state of Tennessee recently announced free college tuition for people in the trades. I mean, they see exactly the same problems we see here. But the survey is a way to put numbers to it. I mean, it's okay to say we have a skills gap, but what does that really mean in terms of numbers? And so we developed a survey in 2019 and issued it. Now, unfortunately, it came just before Dorian and just before COVID. And so things have changed. So we've resolved to reissue the survey in 2021 and see what the changes have been and how we can better address the types of needs that businesses have. Now, in particular, I'm really interested in getting results from Abaco and Grand Bahama and Eleuthera, the Family Islands, because the skills gap survey in 2019 was focused, as you might expect, mostly on NASA in terms of results. But it's really important to get the feedback from all of those different areas that I just mentioned.
All right, so is this short term or medium term or what we need, or is it looking at the future? This is where we expect growth to be.
It's both.
It's both.
It's both.
Yeah,
so
okay.
we really look at the short term, though, because there's an immediate need, and we were just talking about this. There's the byword right now is upskilling. There's a lot of people who aren't currently employed. They're furloughed, they're out of work, their regular traditional work has ended, and so there's an opportunity for them, if they can accept that challenge, to be prepared for the next round of things that will happen. And just as an example, in Grand Bahama, there's an airport reconstruction project, there's a Grand Lucayan project, there's a university, a medical university that's being built there. Disney has a major project in Grand Bahama, and as I said to a few folks last week, don't complain next year if all of the employees for those projects are non-Bahamian. The chance to fix that is today, now, and so that's what we're doing at BTVI. We've got a lot of certificate programs. We had a large meeting last night with the Grand Bahama Port Authority. We had almost 70 people attend, and these are young folks who want to get those skills now, today, and then they'll be ready for those projects that I just mentioned.
All right, Matt, you were saying something before.
I think it's also important to kind of identify what that link of education as a pathway to vocation, right? BTVI has done some phenomenal work. When we look back at 2012, there was an IDB study which looked at work skills, and as you said, it looked at the current but also the future. And out of that survey, 65% of the employers that had responded to that survey noted that they thought literacy and numeracy were huge challenges in terms of being able to hire folks. So how do we then look not only at the tertiary, but also in the secondary and primary education, because that is going to be critical. Someone coming out of an education system that doesn't provide them with the basic capacity to fill out a job application or understand the more technical things that they're going to need to develop on a certification can be difficult. I know BTVI, when we talked about this in 2019, recognized that they were spending a lot of time on just getting their students to be able to deal with the basics of literacy and numeracy. So you only have people for a shorter amount of time to work on technical skills, but you have to segment a portion of that, just getting them to be able to understand the basics of math and reading. Then you're not really achieving it. So so now we're looking at a need quickly, as Dr. Robinson talked about, to get folks into the workforce. You know, you looked at the budget this week. There's all this money that's being put towards supporting small businesses to add on employees, right? You get tax credits if you add on up to 10 employees. But those employees need to be functional and they need to be ready. And if we're going to capitalize on this economic opportunity, it's got to happen in the short term. So we've got to understand what the challenges are, because then institutions like BTVI and private sector partners that do on-the-job training can then gear their training to make sure that we can fill those gaps quickly.
All right, so we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to break for news. When we come back, we're going to find out some of the findings from 2019. I'm just curious about that, but also what's supposed to happen with the 2021 survey, how that's going to work, and more about the certificate programs at BTVI. All right, so this is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio. Stay with us. We're back after news.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. Also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. And now at 8:24, it is time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First. Here's what's happening. We've got a ridge of high pressure that continues to maintain pleasant conditions over the islands. For today, for all areas, look for partly sunny and hot conditions with a chance of a few light passing showers, becoming fair and warm tonight with a chance of showers. Temperatures getting up to around 86 Fahrenheit, 30 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 70 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius. In your extended outlook for your weekend, high pressure is expected to remain across the area throughout the weekend with mostly pleasant and hot conditions. So for Saturday, look for just that, mostly sunny and hot with a chance of isolated showers or thunderstorms. Fair and warm at night with a chance of showers. Sunday, mostly sunny and hot with isolated showers or thunderstorms, mainly in the southeast Bahamas. Fair and warm at night with a chance of showers. That's your Morning Blend weather check. Brought to you by Bahamas First. And at 8:25, another check of your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. We've got, again, heavy traffic on Somali Highway from well south of the Fire Trail roundabout on Somali Highway, all the way up in the northbound lanes to Tonique Williams Darling Highway. The traffic is backed up along Fire Trail as well, eastbound towards that roundabout with Somali Highway. Keep that in mind. Glaston Road also busy northbound to JFK Drive. Blue Hill Road northbound. Heavy traffic as usual north of Soldier Road heading to Independence Drive with the roundabout there. And Independence Drive is backed up westbound to that roundabout as well. Carmichael seeing heavy traffic building eastbound toward Blue Hill Road at this hour. Elsewhere, we've got West Bay Street. The traffic is backed up at the roundabout with New Providence Highway and at Saunders Beach there. So keep that in mind in the eastbound lanes. And then in eastern New Providence, we've got Eastern Road seeing heavy traffic from San Souci, just west of San Souci, to all the way up to Johnson Road, westbound lane there, seeing those issues. And Prince Charles Drive, pockets at the major intersections like Fox Hill Road and Beatrice Avenue and Soldier Road and Robinson as you get closer to Old Trail Road this morning. Marathon also seeing heavy traffic northbound at this hour. Northbound and Soldier Road, especially northbound, just north of Prince Charles Drive and towards that intersection with Bernard Village and Wolf Road. So those are your hot spots this morning, your real-time traffic and your morning traffic alert, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank, banking reimagined.
Roaming just got easier. Say hello to more with our new Liberty Prime plan. With more minutes, more texts, and more data to do the things you love right here at home and even when you travel. With the all-new Liberty Prime, Liberty Premium, and Liberty Elite, you've got one less worry. Roam again. Alive. Believe in best.
Believe in best.
Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean. Did you use the ABM to check your account balance or make a deposit? Don't forget to take your card and your transaction record once your transaction is complete. After reviewing your transaction record, ensure you discard it safely. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more information. Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean.
Basketball is back, baby, and so is NBA League Pass. Only with Rev Trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free, along with incredible prizes including a brand new 50-inch smart TV, NBA gear, and more. With tons of prizes and gear, signing up for Trio is the best on and off-court move this year. Just call 601-8992 or visit www.rev.bs/promotions/trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
And we are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Stephen Hanna. Stephen, you're there? Okay, he's doing well. And we are talking with Dr. Robert Robertson with BTVI and Matt Aubrey with Org Bahamas, Organization for Responsible Governance. And we're talking about the work skills needs of the country, especially post-COVID. But you did do a survey before, and we want to get some details about that. But off air, we were talking about this. And Matt, you mentioned this, the literacy and numeracy deficiencies that we see. We've been hearing about that for a long time. And I was asking Buddy, had a good answer for that, though, and Dr. Robertson, you as well. How are we tackling that? How are we getting over that hurdle?
So I think there are a number of things that we now can utilize with technology that help to accelerate that process. Not they would use that weird. I got to use a different word than accelerate. They can expedite that process. Thinking about it now, we have technology that can be used for a particular function. The critical part of literacy and numeracy, what they've seen in other places, is giving it a purpose. So a student going through high school and struggling to address and understand how to read or how to use math, if they don't see how or why it's going to be beneficial for them to learn that, it's tough to anchor that in some purpose. Well, when you talk about including and adding in now on-the-job placements through apprenticeships or dual enrollment with technical experts, it all of a sudden gives a different look for why I have to learn this and what we have to do. And I know that BTVI has had some great experience with this.
Yep. Dr. Robertson, you were telling us about that off air.
Yeah, I think, as Matt was saying, it's important to embed those disciplines, math and reading, into a trade, so somebody can see the practical application of it right away. It's very important.
Yeah. How do you do that? How do you?
Well, we are moving forward with additional dual enrollment programs, so that this concept is pushed into schools earlier. In addition, we have software programs that we have for math and English, math and reading, basically, which substantially improve the results. Substantially improve the outputs. We see grades, for example, in math go from a D to a B in one term. So a significant change. And so the software, the technology, which is one of the kind of outgrowths of the COVID pandemic, everybody's using more technology in different ways, and that will be prevalent in education, I think, for the long term after we finish this pandemic. So it's important to think outside the box and look for different resolutions, because kids of today, I mean, initially when I started talking about this, some people said, well, they don't have connectivity, they don't have devices. Everybody has a phone, and so you can push it onto a phone, and that's the way of the future.
Yep.
I think it's also critical, though, that we think about this starting as early as possible. So right now we're thinking about folks who've come through a system and maybe haven't gotten the skills, or have already struggled through and came out of high school without these skills. But the sooner we start to deal with this, the education system is oriented to give this information early enough and in a context that makes a difference. So we did before COVID really took over, we were doing a youth employment program, a youth apprenticeship program with C.R. Walker, and giving kids who historically had really been on a track to not be successful an opportunity to go on the job. And they went to places like Bon Vivant, and they went to Caribbean Landscape. Wow. And where they were talking to folks on the job, it all of a sudden changed the nature of why this information might be purposeful. Yeah. And they may not need to know the whole function of algebra, but understanding how to make sure that the costs were stacked up on a purchase, or how to estimate something on a job site. So you need to know how much lumber you need to cut, changes a dynamic so it doesn't become foreign. It becomes native to your mind.
Now, C.R. Walker's senior high, right? Do we need to start earlier than that?
You can't start this early enough, right? What we see is that the earlier we start education, early intervention is crucial. Setting the dynamic in preschool. We visited a charter school in one of the most challenging districts in Atlanta, and at kindergarten they were talking to the kids about which college they're going to go to and what profession they're going to be, and so it's starting to set that pathway forward, I think, is something that we can only do as a positive service to our children. But it also means that there has to be a real strong link between that education system and the tertiary opportunities, the private sector, and government, so that we can create this very easy to access pathway from education to vocation.
Wow. All right. Let's talk about that. Stephen, go on, Stephen.
Yeah, no, I don't want to take this too far off topic or anything, but when I was growing up or leaving high school, I was told, just get a job in the bank, just get a job at a hotel, because those were the two main industries. Everybody's just become a teller, or just work at one of the major resorts. And now that we see things turning around, there might be a lot of persons who are not in high school. Right? Is there anything that your research or any direction that you might say that they should probably look towards if they're looking to, I guess, I don't want to say start their life over, but reorient their life?
Well, and I think COVID has highlighted that. That's something that I know we've talked about in past, but the whole concept, as Dr. Robertson talked about, is upskilling. So if you don't have a job, if you do have a job, being prepared to do not just that job, but other things is crucial. And what we see is we've got to make that accessible to more folks. So when you're furloughed, when you've been unemployed, that's a tough time to start your own business. There's a lot of things that you already, but it's also a tough time. It's also an ideal time, though, to start to prepare yourself to be viable, to be successful in a lot of different things. So becoming more acquainted with technology, becoming working on soft skill improvement, working on your understanding of a different industry, renewables and solar and all the things that are starting to percolate. The best thing about it is we now have access to information in a much greater capacity. We can go online. We can look at established curriculums. We can take advantage of some of the programs that are being made available. We have even folks who are in Grand Bahama and Dorian that went through the dual crisis, they're being given the opportunity to learn skills about how to make agriculture and fishing more commercially viable by World Central Kitchen, who's offering these free courses ongoing. So there are opportunities that we have that are now, to your benefit, going to make us more powerful and more viable in work. Because I don't think the same 9-to-5 model and only do one thing for your whole life is really going to be what the future of work can be anymore.
Yeah, just on that point, we at BTVI currently we have record enrollment this summer. So we have about 700 traditional students. We have about about 700 non-traditional students. And so what we try to do with the non-traditional students, which goes to your question, is we have short stackable courses. So a student who's perhaps in their 30s or 40s, they're not looking at a 16-week traditional academic term where they come in, they sit down, they listen to a lecture. That's quite frankly boring to a student of that age, an adult student looking to upskill, and it's not meeting their needs. So we look at shorter, stackable courses. More importantly, we look at certified courses. So these are industry certified courses. And in the last 2 years, since the survey of 2019, we've become a NCCER shop, which stands for the National Center for Construction, Education and Research. It's a US-based but globally recognized credential. And so students go through these series of courses and they become a master carpenter or master plumber, master welder, et cetera. We currently have about 500 students in the first step of those steps. It's a pretty important series of progressions, and it illustrates, I think, a demand that people have and industry has. They want these people who have the skill sets to be able to get into the workplace right away. Large companies are very interested in this. We have Disney looking at some big projects in the Bahamas. Disney partners with the school that we work with on NCCER in the United States at Valencia College in Orlando. And so we're really encouraging students in Abaco, Grand Bahama in particular, to look at these credentials because they will help them, whether you're younger or older. So we have students from 16 to 65.
My goodness.
And a lot of students I've been seeing recently, they have a bachelor's degree. In fact, I talked to a student with a master's degree in business administration, now wanting to get into the trades for himself, start his own company, and he sees that as an entrepreneurial opportunity, which previously was not available to him.
Wow. All right, you mentioned the 2019 survey. What came out of that? What did we learn at the time? And was this before Dorian happened? Or
yes,
yep.
So it was before Dorian and before COVID, but we had about 155 people respond, which is a pretty good statistically valid response rate. We had a lot of good support, obviously, from Matt and the ORG team, but also the Chambers of Commerce were very supportive, and we really are reaching out to them today to help us to get good data and a good quantity of data from the 2021 survey. But the results were not too surprising, but I think as Matt mentioned earlier, it's important to use evidence to base your decisions on. And so basically it suggested that more than 60% of Bahamian employers feel that they cannot find the types of employees that they need, more than 60%. And so in specific areas that were problematic, one was IT. So a lot of the industries in the Bahamas use back-of-house operations, the hotels, for example, restaurants, and they were not able to find people with the kinds of skills that they felt were necessary. Another area was in the trades, obviously, plumbing, electrical, welding, some very specific trades. And so that was another area that was identified as a significant issue. And so that informed us at BTVI to look at these shorter stackable certified programs. That data was really important for us. And I really encourage people, particularly from the Chambers of Commerce, but other community groups, to assist in filling out the 2021 survey. The Rotary clubs have been very helpful. The Rotary clubs of the Bahamas in sending out the survey. The Rotary Club of Nassau Sunrise has just sent it out, I think, in the last 48 hours. I'm talking today to the Rotary Club in Grand Bahama about doing something similar. So we really need to get people's perspectives on what are the specific skills that are needed and how we can address that skills gap.
Right.
And it's crucial that we get as wide a representation across the archipelago. So small businesses, mid-sized, larger businesses, it's important to understand this in context. And we have so many folks that are out there with different types of business models that we really want to understand what are the needs that you see that you're struggling with, but also that are going to be important in the future. And this survey, different than the 2019, looks and asks what are some of the conditions related to COVID that have now affected you, and how are we dealing with this? Because I think that's going to be important to not only understand, but also pass up to those who are developing policy to make sure that they are effective in what the needs for the private sector are now.
Stephen and I think other co-hosts on the show, we've had this discussion before. Has the private sector, the business community, made this clear before this survey? Have they been speaking to the schools? Have they been going out there and saying, hey, we need more IT specialists, we need more people in the trades? Are those conversations, or were those conversations happening? Were and are.
Yeah, they happen. I mean, we have a program advisory committee. So we have an IT program advisory committee, and they point out areas where we should improve in our delivery. But as Matt said, it's a kind of complex system of factors at play. So one of the other points that came out of the 2019 survey was you need to start earlier. So dual enrollment, and you probably have heard this from Minister Lloyd, the education minister, about the fact that we really need to aggressively pursue dual enrollment. And so in the next few weeks, you will see us putting labs, NCCER certified construction labs, in about 10 high schools throughout the country. And so the intent would be to provide them with the tools to be able to have students in high school who perhaps have a different interest, not an academic interest, but a vocational interest, to finish high school with the certifications necessary to walk right into a job. Now, these certifications also have academic credit, though. So the reason we went with NCCER, by the way, is we visited Valencia College and we asked them how the outcomes look like for these students. And they said to us 95% of the NCCER graduates go into employment right away, 95%. Now, the other 5% go on to other academic programs. And so that's an incredibly healthy, rate. And that's the kind of thing we're trying to emulate. And we're seeing some very good preliminary results from the use of this NCCER tool.
And the linkage, like I think to your and Stephen's point, it's happening in different ways. And like everything in the Bahamas, probably more in silos. So there's some really advanced programs. There are some schools that have great linkage to some private sector folks and associations, and then there's others that are not. And so if you find that lane, then you may have great opportunity, but we haven't done it as broadly as we can. So the hope is to take the information from this survey, link it up with the Ministry of Labor's effort on pushing out a big apprenticeship project, which would link with the NTA, BTVI, UB, the Chamber's efforts, and put it in a more unified way so that we can afford this opportunity to more students, but also help to engage more private sector. I think the interesting tax credit scenario that comes out of this most recent budget might also lend support. So it's great to say on paper that small businesses can now add more staff, but the quality of those staff, what they're going to do with that staff, using that opportunity to grow those businesses, that's a very complex process. It's not as simple as let's add on 6 more people. It's let's add on 6 more people that have these particular skills, which they've got to get through some recognized accredited model, and put it to work. Well, the stackable classes help us to do that. The work in dual enrollment sets the stage that we're going to, with the next folks that are going to be graduating, have the opportunity they can come out with something that's recognized. So I think it's important that we start to think about how we cross the lines. The private sector, actually, one of the things from the 2019 survey is that they showed that they have pretty complex training systems once they identify staff. And they do a pretty good job of retaining those staff. So the difficulty is the first part, the identification of who's appropriate, how to place them, and how to get them up and going. So without those things in place, it's very challenging for businesses. Businesses spend a lot of time and effort to weed through and find appropriate candidates. If we can increase the capacity and the field of folks who are ready to work, we're going to have a great opportunity to grow economy. And once we grow economy, that starts to move that GDP, which is what we ultimately really need to do. We can't be depending upon government to prop this up. We need to make sure that the private sector has all of it, what it needs to be successful and drive the economy forward.
Right. All right. So we're going to get some details about the survey, the current survey in just a bit. But so you mentioned it before, IT, trades. What other growth sectors are we seeing right now?
There's some specialized sectors that you'll see some courses announced shortly at BTVI. So solar, for example, it's a very important opportunity in terms of sustainable energy sources, medical billing and coding, environmental technician, a series of courses. So we're looking at new courses in response to the demands that we see out there in industry. And I should point out as well, one of the reasons why our enrollments are so strong is because the government has afforded the scholarships programs to assist people. So if there are people who are currently furloughed or unemployed, or even if they've just graduated from high school, for example, and they're not able to get a summer job because of the current situation, we have courses available that start almost every week, frankly. They don't start at fixed terms as they always did, September and January. So this is one of the things we spoke about last night at the Grand Bahama Port Authority open house that we had virtually. And so there are different avenues available for different people, all of whom have different interests. And I think that's one of the keys as well. You can't put a round peg in a square hole. And so we have a lot of different courses. One of the points that was raised at the GBPA open house last night from the host was, I haven't been on your website recently. I was really impressed by the range of courses that you offer. And so that's one of the things we try to do.
Yeah. Somebody's asking here if you have surgical technology programs.
We do not currently, but we are looking to partner with a school that will take some of our credits into a course like that. Mm-hmm. So one of the things...
surgical technology, what do they do?
They assist in the surgical process. And so that whole aspect of medical is a big issue globally, and it's certainly a big issue here. Mm-hmm. So we are expanding some of the articulation agreements we have with other schools, so that we can perhaps provide the foundation for some things that it's just not feasible for the Bahamas to offer. It's just too costly, and it's too much of a specialty interest. And so because we have free tuition for the most part, students can come here for example, to get a bachelor's degree in the U.S. that might cost you $40,000. You could do half of it here for free, and your cost to finish a bachelor's degree in whatever discipline you're interested in would be only $20,000. Mm-hmm. Now, that's a pretty good deal, and we really try to encourage people to find those pathways.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll get the details on how you can take part in the survey, and I've got some good questions coming in on the text line as well. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're talking with Dr. Robert Robertson with BTVI and Matt Aubrey with Org Bahamas. Stay with us. We'll be back.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAO, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAO, growing wealth for future generations.
BTC is elevating the Bahamas with our super-fast fiber internet experience. More people in more places can enjoy the best home connection starting with 100 megabit speeds. With over $6.5 million invested, our network grows stronger each day, delivering the best home internet for all your needs. Call us at 242-225-5282. Visit btcbahamas.com or any retail store to upgrade to the super-fast fiber internet experience on the Bahamas' best fiber network.
RBC has been growing with the Bahamas for over 110 years with new ways to bank better. We are committed to deepening our relationship with existing clients and forging new ones in the future with new products and services and investment in the community, youth, and education initiatives. We are here to help you grow.
We're here to help you flourish. We're RBC.
RBC Royal Bank. Banking reimagined.
There's only one way to have a better morning. How? Start your mornings the best way with our 2 for $6 breakfast sandwiches at Wendy's. For a limited time, choose any 2 of your favorite breakfast sandwiches, including the fresh Strachan sack muffin, honey buttermilk chicken biscuit, double sausage muffin, or the sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. Wash it all down with our cold brew shake or coffee. Better mornings always start at Wendy's. Wendy's, different inside and out. Excludes airport locations.
Roaming just got easier. Say hello to more with our new Liberty Prime plan. With more minutes, more texts, and more data to do the things you love right here at home and even when you travel. With the all-new Liberty Prime, Liberty Premium, and Liberty Elite, you've got one less worry. Roam again. Alive. Believe in best.
Believe in best.
Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean. Are you just about to make a purchase, but suddenly remember you need to check your account or card balance first? No problem. Use online banking or the mobile app to check your account or your credit card balance. If you don't have enough funds on the account, you can transfer funds between your CIBC First Caribbean accounts or pay your credit card and have instant access to funds and then make your purchase. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more information. Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean.
Imagine. That's where every advancement begins, with an idea that things can be different, better. Now, imagine a world where your entertainment experience was all about you, your style, your show, at your budget. At Rev, that's what we've imagined. To join the conversation and learn more about the future of Rev TV, visit us at rev.bs/imagine.
Meet Jackie. Jackie's a hard worker with a steady income, but she has a personal loan and multiple credit cards to pay off. To keep her account current, Jackie opted for a loan from Fidelity Bank to consolidate her debt into one monthly payment and earn interest on a built-in savings account. Be like Jackie. Call 356-7764 to book a complimentary financial coaching session. Fidelity also offers virtual assistance. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan with Stephen Hanna. We're talking with Dr. Robert Robertson with BTVI and Matt Aubrey with Org Bahamas. We're getting a few questions in here. We're going to take these really quickly and then get to more details about the survey. But this one is interesting. What is the program, I guess maybe, or what is BTVI doing to attract older persons, I guess, with experience, such as 55 years and older? Are there considerations to accommodate and utilize these with the experience and expertise needed in a lot of these business places? The skills bank can be enhanced with all age brackets engaged. Okay, so you're not quite a retirement age, but you're up there. Are there opportunities for people in that age
there's
group?
opportunities both to take courses, but also to do some teaching. We hire a lot of adjunct instructors based on their experience, and so as does Valencia College, the school I mentioned in Orlando, Florida. Most technical colleges do that. You really want instructors who are practitioner scholars, it's called. They've had practice in their particular discipline, but they're also academically trained to be able to be teachers. But in addition to that, in terms of the ages, we do take students from 16 to in their late 60s, and we see a lot of people in their 50s, 40s and 50s who are looking for a career change. In fact, we had an NCCER training course in Grand Bahama a few weeks ago, and we had a lady judge who had just retired, and she wanted to get into different project management of construction projects. A very interesting story, but that was her passion at that time, and that's what she wanted to do.
This is where?
In Grand Bahama, in
Okay.
Freeport.
Wow.
Yeah. Very interesting. So we get a lot of people in that category. A lot of them are maybe defense force officers who've retired, or police force officers. They've had obviously some good training, good experience. And they're looking to get into to a construction trade. They see that as a real opportunity for them.
Excellent.
So there's a lot of opportunities for people at different ages.
Yeah. This one says, I guess BTVI should consider a landscaping short course. Do you have that? It's a business that one can start up really quickly with minimum capital, but the proper knowledge is crucial.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. We've thought about that for quite some time, and unfortunately, we just haven't got around to it. It requires a bit of space to be able to do it and things like that in terms of the campus. But we are looking at it again. We've had some industry interest in formalizing that because there's a lot of certifications involved in that as well. There's chemicals and other things involved in landscaping, and so we will take another look at that. That's a great idea.
I do think that Caribbean Landscaping has a model that they've been working with and that they roll out to their staff that they've established as an internationally accredited one. And I know over the summer that actually in 2020 summer, Caribbean Landscaping and their construction partners did a sustainable construction internship for some of the folks that were at C.R. Walker. So there are, again, lots of opportunities. And that's one of the byproducts is the private sector has done a very robust program internally to try and develop that. So I think when we do try to lace it together, you're going to find a lot of resources. We just have to recognize, how we can get that to more folks.
Okay. This is an interesting question. Why are there no provisions for Sabbath keepers, I guess? Maybe Sunday courses. Is that a possibility at all?
Well, we do have virtual courses, and they're 24/7. So, in fact, one of the values of virtual courses, and I know people have struggled with the virtual move because of COVID, which is unfortunate because I don't think that's really how virtual really works, but a lot of people have struggled with it. So the value in virtual courses is they're available to meet your schedule. So if you happen to have kids, for example, you can go online at 10 p.m. And if you actually I've been teaching online for about 22 years, so you can actually look at the data and it shows you exactly people go when it suits them. Whereas previously, again, it's the round peg, square hole thing. So courses today are much different than they were in the past. You can take a course pretty much anywhere in the world at any time. And that's the value of virtual. And we've done surveys of students throughout the period of COVID, and almost uniformly they've said, look, when this ends, we don't want to come back to class physically. We want to stay online or be blended, partially. The hands-on piece for construction, you got to come back type of thing. But the blended piece, I think, is the future for us and for many other institutions.
My goodness, wow. All right, so tell us about the survey, how people can take part in it, how businesses can be a part of this. What do they need to do?
We've actually been partnering with all of the different chamber institutions, with Lutheran Foundation, with Rotary, and with the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center. And each of those groups has agreed to send it out to their membership. Why is that important that we don't just say everybody and anybody? Because we want to be able to have some sense of the numbers it was sent out to. That helps us to establish who responded and how it is. So we're asking folks who are members of those associations to be aware and looking out for it. Not everybody belongs to those memberships, though, so they can check us out on our Facebook at Org Bahamas Foundation, and they can see the link to the survey. It's a SurveyMonkey tool, so it's very easy to establish. It's SurveyMonkey Baja Skills. And that survey will take your information confidentially. we'll add it in and we'll be able to look at that data. So check us out I just posted it on our Facebook, so people can go check us out there. But also keep an eye out for your associations, your chambers, the associations that you're connected with, because they will also reach out to you to get your input. What we saw last time is that the information came in a large, at a short period of time. These days, too many people are asking too many things for surveys, so we understand it's going to take a while. So we've given some time, and we're going to continue to keep reminding folks to please share the information. It's not a long survey. It should take you no more than 10 minutes, and it will be important for us to understand that even folks in Inagua and Grand Bahama and Abaco and Andros, that information is just as important, and we'll be able to then identify what are the issues going on to folks in, say, Grand Bahama or Abaco who've now dealt with dual crisis, right? Versus folks who are now in Andros or Cat Island who are going through some level of further restrictions. That'll be important for us to see.
Right. How long is this period for, the survey period?
We wanted to do it over a period of 2 to 3 weeks. I think we're going to extend it, so it'll be probably open for the next 2-3 weeks from now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then when this is all done, who will have access to the information? Where can we see it? How will it be used?
As we did with the 2019 survey, we gather the information. BTVI, cores through it, puts together a report, and that report will be made available publicly. We could debut it on Morning Blend if you want.
Hey, that sounds wonderful.
Come back here and present it. But ultimately, it is available for the public, for the private sector, and for government to understand and utilize.
We also had a conclave last time to talk about the data. So we had an industry panel who kind of looked at the data and said, "Yeah, this makes sense. That's what I see." And the Minister of Education spoke about the skills gap and trying to improve the high school performance with respect to skills. So it was pretty roundly reviewed and certainly informed us in terms of the course offerings that we have.
Excellent. We're getting a lot of questions and we're running out of time. And Dr. Robertson, obviously you have to come back, but this person wants to know, they're saying, I know several students who wish to pursue a career as a teacher of technical subjects, such as auto mechanics or electrical installation. Does BTVI offer any teacher preparation courses upon completion of an associate's degree? And if there is it accepted by the Ministry of Education?
Yeah, we don't offer them ourselves, but we can help stream people into the course training that we think is necessary and that we use to take a look at instructors. So, in fact, I do that pretty much every week. I had a Defense Force officer in just the other day asking exactly the same question. So we can help to tee them up. And a lot of it's through UB, but a lot of it can be done virtually as well.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And Matt, there are questions about Org Bahamas. You're going to have to come back, I'm sure, to talk about that. But gentlemen, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you for having us here.
Great and encouraging. I hope people are listening. Everybody gets quiet again when we're not talking about politics, but this is great information today.
Thank you.
And we hope the business community takes part in this. Yeah, thank you very much. All right, Stephen, we're going to be back after the break. We're going to be talking about Junkanoo and how they are reacting, the Junkanoo community, to the $2 million set aside for Junkanoo headquarters. What will this mean for them? That's after the break. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
We are back here with Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9 on this Friday, May 28th, 2021. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners as well. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan, and Stephen Hanna still with us. Stephen, you're still there? Yes? Stephen? Okay, well, we'll work on that. There we go. There we go. Wonderful. Oh, there you go. Okay. This morning, we are going to be talking about what the Prime Minister announced, the Minister of Finance announced in the budget presentation, the communication, about $2 million that has been set aside for Junkanoo headquarters as part of the government's capital budget provisions. Here to talk about that this morning, we are very pleased to have with us from the JCNP, President Dion Miller, and also representing the oldest and the newest of the A category groups. We've got Michael Brennan and Nicole King. Good morning, everyone. Good to have you with us.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Pleasant. Good morning.
Yes, same to you all. Same to you all. All right, so the Prime Minister says this has been talked about for a long time. Groups have been agitating for this, but there isn't much said about it. We didn't learn much, and we were told that we're going to get details probably during the debate. But from your perspective, I guess, Dion Miller, we can begin with you. Let's talk about this. How much have groups been pushing for this, and why? And we'll ask everybody that. And what does this all mean to you?
So thank you, Dwight, Guardian Radio, and good morning again, Bahamas. So the idea or the concept of assisting Junkanoos in a permanent home has been on the table for successive governments over the past years. I was delighted about 2 months ago to be invited to a meeting with the Prime Minister when we began our discussions about what he announced last week. The Prime Minister is always a Junkanoo at heart, and he holds Junkanoo in high regard. And at that meeting, he promised that he would deliver on this feat for Junkanoo. Of course, in the community, we've heard these promises many times over. And so in that meeting, I was skeptical, and he looked me in my eyes and said, Dion, we will get it done. Plus some additional stuff that I can't speak until he makes further announcements. But this is a momentous time for Junkanoo. And in order for Junkanoo to become an industry, Dwight, we need to have the proper facilities, not just in the business sense, but particularly now that we in this COVID environment. The traditional Junkanoo shack is just that, a shack, for the most part, a wooden structure with no proper running water, no proper restroom facilities. So you can imagine in the 21st century trying to attract business, trying to keep your members safe, tourists, etc., and you have no proper facilities to facilitate such an endeavor. So this is a momentous time for the Junkanoo community. It is long overdue. And like I said, it's just step one in a number of initiatives that the Prime Minister and the government of Bahamas will announce. So it's finally time that Junkanoos are getting some love in a major way. So I'm delighted.
Wow. Okay, I want to hear if Michael and Nicole feel the same way. But what do you say to people who might be listening who are saying, I thought that was the appeal of it all, that this was quaint and just a unique experience, that it wasn't this like everything else in a manufactured in a factory type thing. That was why they are mainly shacks. That's not the case. That's not what people are going for.
No. So, I would say to those people, like, you have to believe and understand evolution. Junkanoos spend so many thousands and hundreds of hours in these facilities away from their family, especially in this environment, Dwight, in this COVID environment where you have to ensure that you're in a sanitary settings, that you have proper facilities. And so Junkanoos is an industry. We have many people from all walks of life, business people. You have a few bright minds on this call with me, a legal mind in Nicole, one of the premier businessmen in Michael Brennan. So we are all walks of life, and we are deserving of this. Our people are deserving. This isn't the times of those days or yesterdays where we would just go on a little coop and construct some costumes. You know, Junkanoo, this is a big production, and we need the proper facilities to take this to the next level.
Okay, Nicole, Stephen, you want to say something before we get to?
Oh no, I just wanted to clarify. So that still doesn't take away from the community aspect of Junkanoo necessarily, right?
No, not necessarily. For a lot of these groups, what the government is looking at areas of designated crown land areas in said communities where these groups already operate. For example, the Saxons and Masons edition, the Valley Boys in the Centerville area, Genesis in the Over the Hill area, etc. So it's still going to be community based, but it will only add, Stephen, to the community if you have a proper facility, proper lighting, proper restroom, where these groups can now go and expand and do stuff in the community, invite the community in the shack in a safe, clean, sterile and environment. So this will only be a plus to the community.
I know that like a part of it is going to be, I'm still going to call them shacks because I feel like that's the cultural term for it, whether or not they are a traditional shack or not. But I'm assuming that this initiative is going to do more than just give a space to put up a temporary facility for building a craft. I'm assuming that this is going to be. Is there more to it than just that?
Absolutely. Like I said, I don't want to get myself in trouble and get ahead of the minister. I think the minister is speaking on Tuesday. But there's a whole overall concept to this to enhance the business aspect of it, where we invite persons to come and visit those places, and those groups can hire persons in their groups to conduct tours, to conduct seminars, to showcase their pieces, etc. So there's a different a business arm to it.
So it's going to be.
I can't get into.
I understand. But it sounds more like a Junkanoo village sort of situation.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, Michael, Nicole, what's your take on all of this?
All right, well, good morning, and thank you for having us, Dwight. For those who don't know, I am the Vice Chair of Administration for Genesis Junkanoo organization. We are the new kid on the block that you referred to in your introduction. But certainly for us, as the chairman has indicated, we are excited. As you said before, this is something that has been discussed for years in the community, and I don't think that is something that the broader community is aware of. I think traditionally there's been a perception that Junkanoos are just sitting down and waiting on the government to give them something. And I understand why there may be some resistance to that, but the reality is in order for Junkanoo to grow organically, Junkanoo needs a hand up. It is no different from any of the other small businesses, and I learned apparently that a small business are those that make under 5 million. So it's certainly our individual groups would fall into that category. So we are small businesses, and to have a space that we can use to leverage what it is that we do, that is to provide opportunities in the communities, in our individual communities, to create experiences for guests coming in, to create experiences for Bahamians to really come in and get a hands-on feel for the Junkanoo craft, for the Junkanoo Festival itself, is really amazing. The chairman has a bit more insight than we do, sitting on the outside, so to speak. But it sounds like we are finally moving towards what we've been asking for many, many years. So it does create some unique opportunities. As the chairman said, it is 2021. Tourists have been crying out for that heritage tourism experience. And in order for us to provide that so that we can compete with the other cultural festivals around the world, we're going to need a space that we can invite them to expose them to our culture.
Michael, Brendan.
Good morning. Very good contribution. Thank you so much for the opportunity of being here. And also thank you to the chairman of JCMP, who's doing a great job at making sure we could do. I know he don't want to let the rabbit out of the hat. I don't know what the rabbit is, but I think it's a good rabbit coming out of the hat. Okay, so I'm an avid supporter of community-based initiatives and development, particularly in the inner cities. I believe that Jonkanu has a responsibility as well as an opportunity to help with some of the social ills inside some of the communities that are adversely affected by some of the criminal activity and those kind of unsavory things. Now, this opportunity now for this $2 million infusion to help with the headquarters and establishments thereof is, again, and I agree with Nicole, is an opportunity and a step in the right direction. My thing is, and where I'm so excited, I had posted on my Facebook page, and of course, this kinds of times, people say, well, this is around political time, and they make it sweet because it's around political time. But I got excited, and I felt the need to share my excitement when the Prime Minister would have mentioned the infusion of $2 million into Jonkanu more directly in the development of home base or headquarters, simply because these opportunities can help to construct and develop multi-purpose facilities. And as Jonkanus, we can do our cultural part of making sure we can help to build our communities, and of course the other opportunities of employment, and groups now looking at one of my other key pet peeves that I like to champion is that of bringing some kind of economic structure, consistent economic structure to Jonkanu and the artists and artisans, because each and every Jonkanu is an artist, manipulating cardboard to putting crepe paper and fringing and putting it on a piece of cardboard and making it a work of art is to be marveled and is to be viewed and envied by the world. So this is something that I'm excited about. I am just happy to be a part of what's going on, and hopefully we can hit the ground running. I'm ready to work.
I have a question. Well, two questions.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see. I'll leave it to one. How many persons do you guys anticipate this initiative helping? I guess even to facilitate the growth of the industry, whether that be able to sell or make money from their craft. How many people do you anticipate these various line grants will help in that arena?
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead, Brian.
Okay. So when we look at the quantification of how many people we are looking to affect or help with these grants, first of all, we have to be able to have the established home base and home headquarters. I like to use the analogy of when a man builds a house, he can't take on a family and build a family to help build communities if he don't have a home base or a house established out of a dwelling place where he can be able to help and foster and nurture and grow his family. So first thing first, it's going to be able to help everybody, but we have to be able to really establish the home base. And hopefully these grants can do exactly what it's intended to do. So when you look at how many people, it can affect potentially the entire Bahamas.
Yeah. And just to elaborate a bit more, Stephen, we estimate that there are between 3,000 to 5,000 Bahamians that parade directly in these Jonkanu festivals and parades every Christmas and New Year's Day morning. And so when you look at the 3,000 to 5,000 persons, plus the spin-off from their families, it has potential to affect thousands. Jonkanu is a multi-million-dollar industry that the Bahamian society quietly does not recognize. Millions of dollars are hard-earned money are pushed into this Jonkanu. The average Jonkanu spends anywhere, and on a minimal scale, between $2,500 to $5,000 every year on his or her costume. And so it's a huge industry. There's a huge spin-off on it. Michael speak about some of the benefits where it assists the community with decreasing the levels of crime. It's familyship. It's mentorship. The shack is almost like a home. As I say, the Jonkanu spends hundreds of hours in those facilities, away from their family, with their Jonkanu family, going over everything. I always tell the story, guys, that I learned a lot of my life lessons as a man in the Jonkanu Shack from Jonkanuas. And I'm just one of few. Many of us are mentored and learn a lot about life and business and politics and whatnot in those shacks. Those shacks are incubators. They are positive places for people to be. And like I said, we are just excited. We have a huge contingent of women that are in Jonkanu, something that we need to highlight more. The majority of persons in these groups are women. And so we need proper facilities, not just for women, but for everybody. I'm just excited. This has been a long time coming, guys. And we are finally excited that we are getting some sort of movement after about 30 years.
Excellent.
Right.
Wow.
Right. And I just want to pick back on what the chairman said. When we talk about creating a business opportunity for a Jonkanu group, yes, we look at the opportunity for the group itself to employ its members and to put its members to work in various areas. But, being an attorney, what occurs to me really is this is now an opportunity to give the Jonkanu group an asset to get the business model up and running. And that creates opportunities for members to actually buy into ownership in the group. So that as the group grows, let's consider that. Let's dream about it a bit. And I think that's what we have to do. Let's change the way we think about it. If my group is up and running and it's a functioning business, are there opportunities for parts of my group to become income earning? Are there now opportunities for my members to purchase shares in that so that they can share in the growth of the group? Mm-hmm. The other thing that I think we also have to keep our eye on is the fact that Jonkanu really is a tool for social and community transformation, yes? And having that space is going to allow Jonkanu groups to not simply provide an incubator, as the chairman mentioned, for its members in terms of training and the mentorship that you get when you're hands-on in the shack, but it will also allow Jonkanu groups to establish programs for outreach into the communities. So we can set up our dance programs, we can set up our musical training and that sort of thing. So the potential for the trickle-down impact of this is enormous, particularly once we ensure that it is organic and we're going from the ground up.
Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we have a lot more questions. I know the chairman's saying that he doesn't want to preempt anything, but hopefully you can answer these when we get back. We are talking about the $2 million allocated for Jonkanu groups for headquarters in the upcoming budget, and we're talking with Dion Miller and Michael Brennan and Nicole King, having a great conversation this morning. We'll be back with Morning Blend Business after this break.
Cash and go, pay all your bills and cash and go. Send your money from cash and go. Top up your minutes, cash and go. Pay insurance and cash and go.
All merchants can take advantage of our payroll feature. Pay your staff directly with Cash and Go Merchant Portal.
You can do it at cash and go. Pay all your bills and cash and go. Send your money from cash and go. Top up your minutes, cash and go. Pay insurance and cash and go. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's at cash and go.
Hello, sir. Your credit card bill is due. Hello, sir. It's time for your monthly loan payment. Tired of creditors pounding at your door? Sign up for a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank and consolidate your debt into one low monthly payment. What's more, you will also earn interest on a built-in savings account. The pandemic has curbed many freedoms, but at Fidelity, our focus is to help regain your financial freedom. Visit a branch or speak to Fidelity Bank at 356-7764. COVID safety measures in place at all branches. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This traffic report is brought to you by Shield Insurance and Prudential Loss Adjusters.
Good morning. We're taking a final look now at our traffic across the island this morning, and Southwest Gateway still among the top of the traffic report. They've been heavily laden all morning. Those corridors having a chance not getting out, but still need some help getting out of there. Traffic flowing on the Glassy Road on the JFK, also from Samalawala Highway, getting on the Tonicsville and Darling. And then the minor of the three is the traffic that's leaving out of Carmichael Road, getting out there on the Blue Hill Road. Not quite cleared up as yet. The rate getting out there has really picked up substantially in the last few minutes. Now, the ride over the hill at Blue Hill Road has really slowed down. Congestions into that Tonicsville and Darling roundabout below isn't being helped by the heavy traffic that's also coming in on Independence Drive into that same circle. The ride into the city along West Bay Street is slowed down, but it's moving, not really congested over there. And on the east end of the island, the Eastern Road still got a serious traffic line that's trying to get out there in the Shirley Street area. The Wolf and Village Road, the Soldier Road traffic light intersection there is creating a lengthy traffic line on the Soldier Road side of that traffic light. Elsewhere across the island, we're still enjoying right now a medium traffic flow that's expected for the morning commute. However, there's still a few of those corridors that normally have a lot of traffic, still have a lot of traffic going on. So it's going to take a while to get out there. This National Traffic Report this hour being brought to you by the folks over at Garden of Eden in Eastwood. There you can get delicious Bahamian breakfast every weekend morning from 7:30. Today, you're invited to support Sylvia Jones Medical Expense Fund. Get your chicken, pig feet, and sheep tongue south up until 2 o'clock today. Call 819-5574. That's 819-5574 for easy pickup and directions. Order yours today. With your right, Sky, look at traffic in real time. I'm VAAA.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
It's time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. The government plans to sit with vacation home rental companies like Airbnb and Vacation Rentals by owner Verbo next week to apprise them of their tax remittance obligations come July, after the government announced Wednesday that those companies will have to attach value-added tax to the full value of the vacation rental and not simply the commission earned. Acting Financial Secretary Marlon Johnson saying yesterday at a press conference that the bulk of new government revenue is expected to come from this change. Johnson says that while the government expects to forego $24 million to $25 million in tax revenues through newly created incentives for businesses, it expects to collect about $54 million from the new and enhanced revenue measures announced by the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance, Dr. Hubert Minnis, in the budget communication. According to Johnson, most of that revenue will be from the vacation home rental market. The government has secured a $140 million loan from the IDB to promote the growth and resilience of micro, small, and medium-sized businesses, MSMEs, as well as the bolstering of the blue economy. The IDB noted this policy-based loan will support the Economic Recovery Committee's charge of providing a resilient, dynamic, inclusive, and sustainable economy and promoting private sector-led growth under a stronger, comprehensive environmental framework. According to the IDB, the loan has a repayment term of 20 years with an interest rate based on the London Interbank offered rate. The government is prioritizing reforms geared at promoting competitiveness and improvement of the business climate under a framework of environmental sustainability and resilience, according to the IDB, and that this includes a medium-term strategy of further improving the business climate and supporting economic diversification, aligned with the recommendations of the ERC report. That comprised of private sector, private stakeholders, and public agencies addressing the challenges presented by the COVID pandemic and provided recommendations for boosting economic recovery, including actions for improving business climate and economic diversification. In your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX. From Thursday, your market movers: Kalina Holdings moving 1,000 shares, closing at $5.94 unchanged. Doctors Hospital moving 50, closing unchanged at $7. Consolidated Water up 1 cent, closing at $2.50. Emira Incorporated up 1 cent, closing at $11.67. The BISX All Share Index closing at 1,949.59, up 0.02. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
We are back here with Morning Blend Business on this Friday morning. We are talking about Junkanoo and the allocation of the budget for Junkanoo headquarters. We've got from the JCNP, President Dion Miller, and representing the Genesis, speaking on. But she is a member of Genesis, Nicole King, and from the Valley Boys, Michael Brennan, and Dwight Strong with you, along with Stephen Hanna. All right, so I think you mentioned this earlier, Dion, because I was wondering if this was going to be like some land on Gladstone Road, all the groups lined off against each other, and the espionage that would be going on like crazy. But you said it that these are all going to be in your home communities, essentially.
Absolutely. So it's going to be community-based, Dwight. And again, you're trying to get me in trouble. But there are plans for a Junkanoo Village, Junkanoo Museum, but that's a conversation for another day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. So which groups will be benefiting from this? Just the A's, the big A's, everybody? Who all? Do you know? Have you been given any information about that?
Yeah, so I won't list those groups publicly, Dwight. I want because the government is planning to have a meeting with the Junkanoo community, during which that information will be dispersed to those groups. So I don't want to get ahead of the Prime Minister and take any thunder away from him. But there are sessions planned with the Junkanoo community to go into in-depth details as to the next steps and what requirements groups will have to do, whether it means apply for some crown land, make sure that all your registrations are up to date, et cetera, et cetera. And so that those meetings and sessions will be scheduled with the government in short order. And so I won't go into details of which particular groups are on the immediate list to receive the land, et cetera.
Okay, the phone lines are all lit up. We're going to go to the phone lines in a bit. And a little bit later, we want to talk to you about this year, 2020, the year with no Junkanoo, what that has meant to the groups and what we're looking at going forward, especially with the changes that we're seeing as a result of vaccines and other adjustments. But we'll get to that in a bit. But let's take some of these calls. Good morning, caller. You're on Morning Blend Business.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. Good morning to all the guests in there. Dion and Nicole and everybody.
And Michael, yep.
This is JJ speaking. You know, Dwight, when I tell people I spent $10 million, my personal money in Junkanoo through the years, people used to call me fool and laugh at me. I had to pump 19 hours a day in my shop. I had the free person in the Bahamas, had purchased to open my shop. My brothers, my son, they get beaten. They learn Junkanoo. I told them I didn't make the money in Junkanoo, but I could teach you all this art and technique to make money. You know, all them qualified to do everything in Junkanoo. They could build, they could make drums, everything I learned, I taught them. Although I semi-retired now, but I still like Junkanoo. Even my grandkids know Russian. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying, I see, and that's why I like Doc, man. I see Doc is on the right track. The rest of the Moses crew always doing talking. Now, so it's a small place, man. They go where the government got the land. If you all want your land in your community, you're gonna have to buy your land. Government got land at 5 Road and whatever. That's where the land is. Forget it. I tell you a long time. Go where the land is. We had the opportunity to buy the land on top of the hill, and then in 1986 we messed the money up. But now they see the wisdom. I was 30 or 40 years ahead of my time in Junkanoo, man. I was the first person to listen to the Bahamas Hut. A lead custom in the expo. What power give us? They took that away from us now, so I don't know how we can do it. I don't know if we can get the funds to deal with this museum. But I hope young people can pick up the mantle and carry the mantle. And I want to talk to one more thing, Michael and Dion. Make sure he take Junkanoo off the book as a nuisance, eh? Junkanoo should be called the National Festival of the Bahamas. And thanks for taking my call, Dwight.
Okay. Is it still considered a nuisance?
And Dwight, just to piggyback of JJ, you know, I am a product of JJ. the Thompson Lane crew as a boy. JJ was one of my mentors, and certainly my father, a mentor. And I couldn't wait on Saturday mornings to go to the shack through Thompson Lane to do Junkanoo. And JJ taught us all the hard way, but the right way. He was a tough leader, almost like a military man, and JJ is a legend.
He raised an interesting point, though. I was thinking about it myself, and people are messaging me about it. When you say in your communities, a lot of these we can't picture where there's any space at all. How's that going to work?
Well, we got to identify vacant property, as well as some Junkanoo groups, some majority Junkanoo groups got land that they're utilizing now that don't have the proper facility. And so those lands could be utilized to install the proper facilities on them, Dwight.
Okay. All right. We've got another call here. Let's take that call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Caller, good morning. You're on. Are you there? Let's take the other one. Hi, good morning, caller. You're on Morning Blend Business. Nope. Okay. Call us back. 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us. Caller, good morning, you're on. Good morning, you're on the show. Hi, caller, good morning, you're on Morning Blend. Okay, I see. Good morning, caller, you're on Morning Blend Business.
Good morning, Dwight. How you doing?
Doing well.
Sparky here.
Hi.
I just piggybacking off of JJ, too. Hey, JJ, Sparky on this side of the doggone Motorola. But anyway, youngsters out there, this Sparky is from one of those original people from way back in 1958. I took the Valley Boys first band in December 1958, but I'd like to congratulate Dwight, the younger crew that's really exploding Junkanoo and carrying it forward, because Dwight, I remember there's an old man we used to call Uncle Donnie up on East Bay Street. Don Hyler, them died. He used to build. One of the first fellas around there used to make the homemade cowbells. That's what he did all day. And when they started to change Junkanoo with all the beads and the feathers and everything, he said he's going to retire from Junkanoo and never rush again. He'd go down with the scrap all the time. But when he saw the beads and the trumpets and the tubas and all that, he said, "Man, that ain't Junkanoo." I said, "Uncle Donnie, Junkanoo ain't going to stay the old way where you had it back in the day when you only had crate paper and flower pop. It's going to expand. It's going to become a carnival one day." And we saw it happen in fact. Gus Cooper and Wooler, to press it on, they traveled to Trinidad. They saw different tricks. Doyle Burris and them, how to build with the aluminum rods and all that kind of stuff. So I'd like to take this time out to congratulate the younger Junkanoo groups who are pushing it forward. And all I can say, we can't wait to get back on Bay to show the colors of the Bahamas, and the real culture of the Bahamas is Junkanoo. Keep it up, kids.
Okay. All right. Excellent. I guess he's happy about the allocation there, too. All right. So, Dion, is there anything more that you can tell us before we hear the details from the government? Any other little tidbits you can provide?
No, stay tuned.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about this past year. No Junkanoo. We know some people are still bedridden as a result of that. But what impact has it had on the various groups and on Junkanoo in general?
It's had a tremendous negative, as well as some positive impact on Junkanoo and Junkanoo community. I know a lot of Junkanoos are going through Junkanoo withdrawals right now, Dwight. We love Junkanoo. Junkanoo isn't something we do. It's a passion, and it's something that burns into every Bahamian, but particularly us as active Junkanooers. And so last year was very difficult for us to not be able to express ourselves and our culture through the traditional means that we do. I think just as much as missing the opportunity to go on Bay Street, the opportunity to be in the shacks with our friends and our loved ones was missed just as much as well. Because, you're on Bay Street for about 8 to 13 hours, but you're in those shacks for hundreds of hours with your comrades preparing for the parades. On the flip side, it has given us, Dwight, something that we necessarily did not appreciate, which was time. A lot of us Junkanooers traditionally does not get to spend time Christmas season, the holiday seasons with our families. So I know a lot of wives and husbands were pleasantly surprised and pleased the last Christmas season to finally have John Canoe's home in their midst and spending time. I have a young son. Yeah,
Please don't
I have
know
a
it, as
young
Stephen
son,
says.
3 years old, and last year would have been the first time that I actually got to spend Christmas morning with him.
Wow.
I on a Christmas day, I usually shoot home for a couple hours and go right back to the shotgun to get on Bay Street. So I actually got to wear pajamas and open gifts and eat ham and turkey and all of that. Those stuff we experience after Christmas and so forth. So it was a good time to spend with our families, but nevertheless, we miss it. We miss it. COVID was a disaster for the globe, for the world. We're no different here in the Bahamas, but I think COVID has provided us with a unique opportunity in the John Canoe community to right a lot of wrongs. We seeing the other day a member of one family who going through some health issues had a fundraiser, and I was so pleased, Dwight, Stephen, Nicole, and Brennan, to see John Canoes of all groups, all walks come together, hug, fist bump, celebrate, socialize with one another. And I think COVID has given us a sense of unity, a sense to put down old pettiness and divisiveness and the arguing about who win or lose a parade, and to focus on the big picture, which is that John Canoe is something that lives in us. John Canoe is something that we need to preserve, and so in that essence, guys, it's been a blessing as well as a curse. And like I said, I'm excited because the spirit of John Canoe is just growing. It's burning. The absence of persons who have stepped away and retired, like the JJs and so forth, made everyone hungry to come back and to be a part of this once again. So we have a unique opportunity to get a lot of things right. To make the parade essentially what it's supposed to be, and to move John Canoe forward. So I'm excited.
Yeah, Nicole, Michael.
Yeah, for me, I had a wonderful time, and I concur with the comments and sentiments of the chairman of the JCMP. I was wearing the matching pajamas and baking cookies and homemade eggnog, and that's something I hadn't done in a while, because as an active avid John Canoe, I can speak for the wider populace of the John Canoe community. We are in that zone, in that competitive, artistic zone, where we want to make sure that everything is in place to go down Bay Street to perform in the best show that the world has ever seen. And COVID would have really created some unique opportunities for me and my family as well, and some of the members of my group who I keep in contact with, in that it allowed us to spend the kind of time that we would have robbed our respective families, friends, and loved ones from. And it helped to mend a lot of things and helped to really cause us to draw back and say, what are some of the things that we can possibly look at, not just changing, but how we want John Canoe to look when we have the opportunity to get back on Bay, and in those active things that we normally do that helps to make John Canoe what it is. But most importantly, we have just been keeping safe, paying attention and adhering to the emergency orders as best as we can. We have a lot of anxious members in my organization who are ready to do things and anxious to get and do something, and they have a lot of ideas. But the most important thing is, at this time, is keeping us safe as possible, following the guidelines of the emergency orders, even though sometimes individually we feel is a bit strenuous. But we trust the professionals as best as we can, because they have a obligation and responsibility in their profession to keep us safe. So safety is our main priority right now. And that's what we've been doing. That's what I've been doing as a Jonkanua, speaking with Jonkanuas across other organizations to be safe and to make sure that your family are covered, you're safe, and that you keep focused mentally as well. Because for some Jonkanuas like me who already found something to do, started working on some stuff to keep myself sharp in my craft, it helps me to relax. It's a more of a therapeutic process for me, where I go in the backyard and I work. I'm working on some stuff right now because it helps me mentally, believe it or not, to relax. And a lot of Jonkanuas feel the same way. Jonkanu for us in the Jonkanu community is not just worrying or want to just get back to Bay Street. It is really a lifestyle. It helps us to be able to deal with some of the things that we necessarily in our individual lives don't have it all together, but the music and the camaraderie and the socialization breeds that of something indescribable, magical and spiritual. And that's the thing that we've been missing. I believe that Jonkanu, the participants and the activities and the spirit thereof has power to be able to heal. And that's what it's been doing for so much of us over the course of all these years. And I speak for myself.
Right. Wow. It's a powerful testament there. And Nicole?
Just add to what was said, and I think the chairman and Brennan have kind of said most of what needs to be said. But I think the takeaway is it's given us an opportunity, or it's forced us to pivot, no different than any other business, any other going concern. We've just had to pivot. So we've had time to rethink about the way we produce Jonkanu. I smile as I hear both of the gentlemen talking about not being able to spend Christmas with their families. And that's an interesting distinction between men and women, because women find a way to do it. All of the women in Jonkanu,
Oh boy.
But it's given us an opportunity to pivot, to rethink the way we do things. The impact of COVID on the economic community has meant that sponsors have pulled back, not because they wanted to, but because they had to for their very own survival. And so it's caused Jonkanu on a higher level to really consider how are we going to survive without sponsors.
Wow, that's a very interesting point. All right.
Because we've had some time to sit back and get creative and rethink how we present the parades, rethink how we treat Jonkanu on the whole.
Yeah. So that leads us to what we can expect. And if we can expect, should we expect December? Will we be back on Bay? How certain are we about this? And what will be different about it?
As in the Jonkanu season, this current year, 2021, 2022, Dwight, no official decision has been made yet. As the Prime Minister indicated, there are several variables that will determine that if we will be allowed to parade. But I can certainly say that if, and that's a big if, there are to be a parade, it will not be a traditional competition parade in the sense where we have all those categories, et cetera, et cetera. It will have to be more of a traditional dancing parade, a spirit of Jonkanu sort of concept. But like I said, those discussions are ongoing. No final determination has been made. I think what the government is looking at is the vaccination rates in the country, how COVID is performing, where it is being maintained, et cetera, et cetera. Jonkanu is a people activity, Dwight and guys, where we come together. The Ministry of Health, through our previous discussion, indicated that they weren't so concerned for Jonkanu's participating in the parade because the parade is moving. Only concern would be for the participants on the rest stop through George Street and so forth. But their number one concern would be for the public. And how do we keep the public safe? When that music starts and you hear that goatskin drum, all your sense just goes away. And so those are the different variables that the government and the JCNP and all concerned persons are looking at. And So there's no final word yet on if there will be a parade. But it's safe to say that, as Nicole mentioned, it takes about $2 million collectively from corporate Bahamas to sponsor these groups to make it to Bay Street for Boxing Day in New Year's Day. Those funds are not just there this year due to COVID and the impact that COVID has had on our economy. And like Nicole said, not that these corporate Bahamas does not want to sponsor Junkanoo, but for their own business survival, they can't. They're fighting to keep their employees employed, etc. And the Junkanoo community understands that. And so, as I said, if we get to go ahead, this will not be a traditional year. This would be more or less for the spirit of Junkanoo. And I'm looking forward to 2022 and beyond to get back to some sense of traditional parading and normalcy. But this year, nothing is finalized yet. We're still in a holding pattern per se. And the Prime Minister have indicated to me that by June, July, August, some sort of decision would have been made. So like we said, we're just watching the variables and we're waiting. And I know the community is excited. Everyone is antsy. Everyone wants to get back to that. As Michael said, I'd continue to tell you to adhere to the government mandate. If you want, in regards to vaccinations, that is a decision for each and every Junkanoo to make for his or herself. Speak to your health officials, speak with your family, and make the best decision for you. I am vaccinated. I received my second shot just this week. I'm actually feel great, and just adhere to the protocols. Let's just keep safe, and one day, whether it be this year or next year, we will return to what we love, Junkanoo.
Wow. All right, we're going to take a break right here. When we come back, a few more questions coming in, and we'll take this call if they're still there. We are talking about Junkanoo and the $2 million allocated for Junkanoo headquarters. It's all straight down. More on this when we come back. This is Morning Blend Business.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAO, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAO, growing wealth for future generations.
Boy, why you look so mashed up like clothes at the washer?
No, boy, just a hard day, boy.
Hard day? What happened? The breakfast lady ran out of tuna and Gretzy.
We need to start joking with everything, This serious, boy. This real serious, boy.
Boy, what's serious? Tell me.
All right, well, today, boss gave us, boy, one big contract. And nobody else get a chance and nobody say nothing.
Boy, you know that ain't right. You know government contracts ain't supposed to go that way.
Yeah, but nobody's saying nothing. Boss man just tell people to sign the papers. Then he send me to meet this boy downtown and collect this envelope.
You need to tell somebody. You need to become a whistleblower.
You know I's a real man, but I never blow no whistle. I be drunk all my life in Junkanoo.
No way. A whistleblower is someone who tells people what they see when they see something wrong happening at work.
But I ain't no whistleblower, and I ain't no snitch. I still white there,
But ain't nobody can know it's you. All you gotta do is call Crime Stoppers, or you could text them from inside the Crack Crime Bahamas app. They don't ask about you. And your call goes straight through to Miami, so nobody know you is. And if you text, your message get mixed up like Kong Salad. Call 328-8477 from Nassau, or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
Final couple of minutes of Morning Blend Business this morning. We are talking with Dion Miller, Michael Brennan, and Nicole King. Dwight Strachan, along with Stephen Hanna, with you for the show this morning. And let's take this call really quickly. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well.
Okay, just a little joke. I usually, every year, trick my son's Junkanoo costume. He rushes with the Valley Boys. This year, he built a head. Last year, a headpiece and a skirt. He said we were going to have a rush out. I was busy pasting it, and at the end of it all, he said, "Mommy, that's for you because I know you would miss preparing a costume." That's his dedication to Junkanoo and mine.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Beautiful story. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Wow. All right. So we were hearing lots of talk about finally people getting the fact that we need a museum, a place to house and showcase Junkanoo pieces. Let's talk about that and whether you agree that the mindset has changed finally, that people are getting this. This is a business. This is art. This is something that needs to be preserved.
Absolutely. The mindset have changed. There were several years ago a museum on the port, or the cruise port. Unfortunately, with some renovations and so forth, the museum closed. Like I said, the community understands the importance of such a venture to not only promote but to preserve Junkanoo. And so that's on board. We're working now with some very talented Junkanoo architects on the design of a building space for Junkanoo. It will be a concept where all Junkanoo groups have ownership, equal shares ownership in that business venture, where we can hire members and have seminars, concerts, etc. Those plans are being finalized as we're speaking at the JCMP level. I'm having meetings on a regular basis, trying to raise funding and financing for such a adventure. Had an excellent meeting a couple of weeks ago with Mark Alaresco about some stuff. So we're hopeful that we could coalesce and get some financing for the venture, but it's sorely needed, Dwight. Junkanoo should be taught in every single school in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Our Junkanoo legends should be known by all. Just as they know and taught about Martin Luther King, they should be taught about Vincent Gus Cooper, about Percy Willer Francis, about all the Junkanoo legends, Sweet Rich, everybody. So it should be a part of the syllabus. It's something that is missing in our society, and we got to do better, and we got to promote it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, this is unfortunate. We're going to end this on this note, but this text, I mean, well, some people are probably thinking it. Someone says they have some issue with this. And how will these Junkanoo groups prevent the properties being used for shanty towns down the road, or people building their apartments? Some of the group leaders building apartments on the properties. All right, we don't have much time, but let's see how quickly we can get your responses to that.
That's a loaded question. I would say this. I promote transparency in everything that I do, Dwight. And like I said, each group will have devised a firm business plan. The government is quite aware of those concerns and so forth. Hence, it's taken us 20, 30 years to get to this point. Mm-hmm. So there will be checks and balances, of course, in this adventure. So the government just is not granting land and giving some funds and it's the end of the day. No. Groups will be held to account and to live up to what the vision and the promise of this program is all about.
Okay. Yeah, and if I could just jump in, Chairman, I just want the public to appreciate that Junkanoo groups now are very different from they were 40 years ago.
Exactly.
Most of the major groups are incorporated. They have CACs that can hold assets. They have internal structures. They have audits. They have boards. They are incorporated as nonprofit entities. So I have the capacity to be completely regulated.
Exactly. Okay.
So that's not to be a concern. And I am hopeful that along with this funding, and I'm going to put this in the chairman's ear, I'm hoping that there will be some support that's going to be provided for Junkanoo groups in terms of business education. Hopefully the Small Business Development Center will be leveraged to provide that kind of support for groups. But I don't think that needs to be a concern, more so than with any other company or business.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
Wonderful stuff. We're going to end on that note. That's good. Some encouragement there, encouraging words. And we appreciate you all this morning. Nicole King, Michael Brennan, and Dion Miller. Thank you so much for talking with us this morning. We look forward to hearing more on this and see where this goes. But thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Having us.
And Stephen Hanna, thank you very much. Hope you have a wonderful weekend.
I will do my best.
I won't get to talk with you next week because Friday is Labor Day, but I guess we will talk soon, a couple weeks. Enjoy the holiday, but I'll be back on Monday morning with more Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9 on Monday and Morning Blend Business. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.